G'day, Dobbo here, and I can't tell you enough. Kratzmann's RV Super Centre up at Burpengary on the Bruce Highway. The only place to buy a caravan or a motorhome, brand new, second-hand, they're all there. And you know what? They do deals. They love it. They do deals. You go up there with a handful, go and talk to them, you'll get a caravan. That's all that matters. Either way, just tell them that Inside Ball, you've been listening to Inside Ball, and we told you to go and see them. Today, our interview on Inside Ball is probably our most special guest. You've asked for it. You wanted the truth. You wanted all the real answers. Well, we've finally got it. 6 premierships, 293 first-grade games, 20 origins, 11 times he represented his country, and 3 Super League origins. We should be counting him as 23 origins. But either way, this bloke is an absolute legend. Now, he's done it all as a coach, but I think he's best known as a player. It's my great pleasure to finally be in control of the interview process, to finally be able to ask the hard questions and interview my great mate about his rugby league career, the great Kevie Walters. Hello, Kev.
Hey, Dobbo, what a special guest we got today.
Yeah, unbelievable. I do like the fact we've been talking about it for some time that Kevie needed to get asked about his career because we have this podcast and we normally interview guests and we've got some amazing guests locked in the next couple of weeks. But we thought we've got this up and going. It might be time for you. And you hate talking about yourself, so that's even better that I get to do it.
Well, I do, but if you're asking the questions, well, I'm okay with that.
All right,
You'll ask the right
let's
questions.
start. 20th of October 1967, Kevie Walters gets born in Rockhampton. When I did my research, I know you well. I thought you were born at Ipswich General, but born in Rockhampton. So talk to us about, you're one of 5 brothers. Your mum and dad did an amazing job. You're a twin. Just give us a little snapshot of that upbringing.
Yeah. So how I was born in Rockhampton, Mum's father was a station master.
Yep.
And he worked for the Queensland Railways.
Yeah.
Right. So and Dad was obviously a Rocky fella, and his family were all up there. So at about the age of 3 or 4, my grandfather or Mum's dad got moved to Ipswich to run the Ipswich station, which was a big promotion for him in his life. And we obviously moved with them because Mum relied and Dad relied heavily on
your family.
5 kids.
Yeah, sure.
So someone's got to look after those kids because Mum was a full-time worker. She was
What did she do?
She's a nurse.
Yeah.
So she worked all through our childhood as a nurse, kept a nursing career going. And Dad was a carpenter. So, they brought us to Ipswich and we grew up there. I moved there when I was about 3 or 4, and we just grew up there at Merton Street, East Ipswich. And just down the road happened to be, a rugby league club, the Val Swifts Juniors.
Yeah.
So that's how we started playing rugby league.
Play for the Bluebirds.
Yeah, and across the railway line was a Musketeers baseball club. So we played baseball as kids as well as cricket. We had cricket around the corner as well. So within the house, a lot of parents find it hard to get their kids to training, get them to sport. Well, we used to run down the road and we used to use the light poles as training. We'd sprint between one and then walk. We'd have races, Kerrod and I, and our brothers.
So where do you fit into the 5? So you and Kerrod are twins.
Yeah, we're the last of the batch.
So
right?
Who was first?
Brett was first.
Brett's first, then Drewy?
No, then
Steve,
then Drewy, the redhead in the middle.
Yeah.
The fiery redhead in the middle.
And then your mum and dad lucked out with twins at the end.
Well, the story is that Mum and Dad were trying to have a girl. They wanted a girl.
Sure.
But they just kept breeding boys, So my name and Kerrod's name, we were Kerry or Kerry Ann or something, They had all these female names picked out, but they couldn't get.
Well, your dad's name was Kevin, wasn't it?
Yeah, so
you're
Jr.
Kevin Jr. Yeah.
So we all look the same basically. I was looking at some old photos the other day.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I see Steve in you, when I never did, but now I see the older you get, I see Stephen and I go, oh my God, all the time.
And we've all got little bits of our makeup that we are really a family Walters. Yeah, that's the brand, and we are Walters. Yeah,
it's funny that your dad was from Rocky. I mean, was he a footballer?
He tells us he played for Rocky High schoolboys, but he left school when he was, in year 8 or 9 to be a carpenter, which happened in those days. And we've got a family of carpenters as well.
Mate, you've got 3 generations of carpenters. You're a carpenter.
Yeah.
And so's now Jacko's a carpenter as well. And Harry.
And Billy's
a carpenter as well. 3 generations of carpenters.
Yeah, and then so Dad's father was a carpenter as well.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's in the DNA.
Yeah, it's in the DNA, certainly.
So you get into Blue. Swifts is such a proud club.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, 3 of you played first grade, but there's a photo that, am I right in saying that every single Walters represented Queensland at some stage under 18s?
Under 18s. Right? We all played Queensland under 18s. So Brett was that first game we spoke about, before the first Origin, and then Stephen followed suit. Then Drewy and I played Queensland under 18s together, and then Kerrod and I played Queensland under 18s together.
So what was Brett and Drewy? Were they, because I mean, really, you're the only back. The rest of them were forwards. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. Well, Brett was a back as well. Brett played centre wing.
Yeah.
And he was a big, strong, sort of fast, athletic sort of person, Brett. Very, very fast. And he played in the Queensland Cup, basically, the QRL.
Yeah.
Drewy the same. They joined the Broncos early and played reserve grade for the Broncos, but never played an NRL game. So when the Broncos were first formed in 88, there was Kerrod, Andrew and Brett all at the club.
All at the club.
And Kerrod was the one that jumped them all and went on to play a lot of games, obviously with the Broncos, over 200 for the Broncos, and then across to the Rams. So, when you're growing up, Dobbo, I think it was really special, and that's why
5 boys is unbelievable. Yeah, it's crazy.
And the age gap, when you've got kids yourself, so when you're younger, you're sort of nice and thick. But when Brett got to about 15 or 16, he sort of drifted out of the pack a bit, and
didn't want anything to do with it.
Didn't want anything to do with us, and and then Stephen got to that age. You could tell because we're the youngest. As the brothers got older, they sort of got a bit older, a bit more mature, and brushed the younger ones. Yeah. But we had some great backyard footy games.
I bet.
That was
why baseball? The Musketeers. It's a fair hike. I had my son play for the Musketeers as well. Will played for them at Ipswich. People don't realise Ipswich is a proper proud baseball city. Everybody talks about rugby league, but hockey and baseball are 2 of the big things.
We had lots of Australian reps coming from that Musketeers club. So, and that's probably why we joined. We played Kerrod and I, Stephen, Andrew, Brett. We all played there. It was great. We just used to walk there.
Yeah.
Across the train line.
And then you're there.
It would have been less than a kilometre.
And then you're straight there. Straight as the crow flies.
And Musketeers were such a good baseball club as well. They were, well connected, as you say. Yeah. They had Australian reps there playing for Musketeers, so it just seemed a natural progression. As well as the cricket, we played a lot of cricket as well, mainly at school, and then as we got older, we got into the baseball. But it was a great place to grow up, really good.
We talked about the other day, Ipswich Grammar. I mean, you got a scholarship there and you won a comp there.
Yeah.
And it's really different. That was the only rugby union you really ever played.
Yeah, I loved it as well. GPS rugby, private school rugby is really strong. You only play 7 games.
Yeah.
Right. And Ipswich.
Did you have a good side? You have a good side at that time?
Yeah, we did. We did have a great side, but they recruited a couple of. Kerrod and I came in for 11 and 12.
Yeah.
And our coach was Steve Nance, right?
Yeah,
Steve wasn't famous then.
No.
But he was obviously a good school teacher, but also he'd coached and trained in Sydney with rugby at Randwick.
Yeah.
Or Manly, one of those clubs. I'm not sure which one it was, but he come with good pedigree, so he was the first 15 coach. And Duncan Hall was there as well, the Australian rep.
Wow.
So he was the assistant coach. And I remember Duncan at school, he used to be the PE teacher. If kids were playing up in the pool, he would virtually just drag them out of the pool.
Yeah.
Say, go and sit in the corner.
Yeah.
You're disrupting my lesson.
Do you like it at Ippy Grammar?
I loved it. Yeah, I loved
quite unbelievable. Very expensive school for you and Kerrod to be given, a scholarship, and that's, the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Where you delivered in spades, so you joined the Jets as a league, and in 86, am I right in saying 85, 86 you started playing?
Yeah, playing underage there.
And then, so how did you end up in Canberra?
Well, that was quite easy, but I just want to go back to the school days. I reckon I trained as hard as I ever did for that first 15 rugby season.
Is that right?
We weren't a highly skilled team, but we were a tough team that just were hard to beat. We never beat ourselves. A lot of our games that we won, we didn't win by big margins. Just our forward pack, led by Brian McDonald, who's a very successful now in the engineering world. he was our captain, and we were just a tough, gritty side. And Kerrod and I used to run the ball all the time and get in trouble. In rugby, you meant to kick it in our own half. We used to run it. And we sort of.
But you won the comp. You won a GPS premiership.
First time in 50 years.
Unbelievable. And it speaks volumes on you, Kev. Everywhere, and I'm going to say, everywhere you played, you've won.
Yeah.
Everywhere you've been, you've won. Like, people don't realise, GPS premiership. Ipswich Grammar still talk about it because it was the first time, as you say, in 50 years, Kevie Walters goes there, wins a premiership. Can I just go back before you guys all split up?
Yep.
What was the foundation of the story? Everybody talks about, when your kid's in the backyard. There's 5 boys, there's 5 Walters boys. Now, you talk about, obviously, Brett getting past and older, but did you guys used to play football together, or was it more you and Kerrod? How was that as kids?
We used to play as a group, kids, When we were kids, we played. So Brett and I used to team up against the middle 3.
Is that right? So the oldest and the youngest.
There was 5. Sometimes if Brett wasn't there, it was
4 of us.
It was 4 of us, and they were tough games.
Did you scrap?
We used to flog the daylights out of each other.
Really?
Drewy, we used to, the fiery redhead. You don't poke Drewy, because
Drewy was the tough nut.
He would start spearing and all that sort of stuff. That's when spear tackles were legal.
Yeah.
And actually, Mum invented the sin bin.
Is that right?
That's right, for us. So she would often come home from work and we'd be
ref?
playing. No, just referee on the back stairs, or Dad would come home from work and he used to have a beer and just referee. That's enough there, cut that out, And then one day Drewy and I got a bit boisterous into it. So Mum put the hose on us.
Yeah.
And said, right, you go sit over there, Kevie, you go and sit over there, Drew, you go and sit over there, you can have 5 minutes out. Sandra's sin bin, she called it.
Unbelievable.
This was before the sin bin, mate, I'm telling you. She said, you can have a curl off there and I'll let you know when you can come back in. It was only 2 or 3 minutes, but it was time. And then the floodlights as well. Dad put a floodlight in so we could play
on the roof of your house?
Yeah, on the roof of our house, yeah.
Oh, I love that. So you guys could play at night. Yeah. Do you reckon, like, Kev, I mean, obviously it's in the DNA with your dad, Kevin, and your mum, Sandra. It's in the DNA that you were naturally athletes, and like, they probably didn't get the opportunities. But do you reckon that backyard stuff toughens you up? Like, I mean, I look at players, and like, there's 5 boys. You guys are the youngest. But it can't be a fluke that you've all been successful and you were all tough. And that backyard football,
100% Dobbo.
You reckon it absolutely galvanised
it? It does, yeah. And that's why I encouraged my kids to play backyard, and they played backyard foot. Billy, Jack, Jet, Harry, Ava not so much, but
they get into it and you don't mind it, and you see it,
and you get a flogging. There's no rules in the backyard except belt the shit out of each other for as long as you can until Mum and Dad say, right,
that's enough.
That's enough. Dinner's on the table.
Yeah,
time to do some homework.
So you go on, you win a comp at Ippy Grammar. You're playing at the Jets in underage. Stephen's at Canberra.
Yep.
How did you end up at Canberra?
So back in the day, there was a 3 import rule for the Sydney club, so they could only approach 3 Queenslanders per club. And they put a limit on it. So, and the Raiders had some Queensland players there already. Mal Meninga, Gary Belcher, Stephen was there already.
Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson came with me in the batch that I went down there with. Yeah. So it was me, Peter Jackson, and I think Steve Jackson was the other 3rd import to go down to the Raiders. Or it might have been, I think it was Steve Jackson. Anyway, it was definitely Jacko and I. And I took the opportunity because Wayne Bennett was going down to assist Don Ferner, who was the current Australian coach.
Yeah.
So straight away, I'm into the Queensland coach and also the Australian coach, who are my mentors.
So did you know Wayne at that stage?
Yeah, he coached me in underage stuff and had looked at a lot of us and seen a lot of me, and he thought it was a good idea to split, because Kerrod and I had always played together, coming through in rep teams, for Ipswich, for the Jets, and he thought it would be a good opportunity for us to, maybe split up and make our own sort of career paths as such. For a couple of years, which we did. It was hard leaving Ipswich, but it was easy joining the Raiders because they were a Queensland club. Wayne Bennett was the coach. Just made sense to me to move down there. It was a joy. And
I've got to ask about it because 87 they got beaten by Manly in the grand final. But I just want to talk about when you look at when you go down there, the calibre of blokes, like the team that you guys have. Like, am I right? Like, you had Mal. Ricky was coming through. Loz was coming through. That Ricky had been playing rugby union, but these are the kind of Craig Bellamy, Peter Jackson. Like, they just keep on going. Sam Bacco. Like, it was You cannot script how good and how talented that club was, and then it went on. What was it like down there?
Oh, it was amazing. Like, just so many Queenslanders. It was like a Queensland club, particularly when Origin came on, and, Mal was obviously in his prime. Gary Belcher started to come through.
Yeah.
Peter Jackson, God bless Peter Jackson. He was a terrific friend of mine. We got on famously. I loved Jacko and everything that he brought, not only, to the team and on the field, but also off the field as well. He knew how to, enjoy life, basically, which is, I think that's what life's about, is enjoying yourself, as long as you don't cross too many boundaries or do anything against the law. I think you've got to enjoy yourself. I know you do. And Jacko certainly showed us that on how to, and Mel was all for a good time as well. They were great times.
Only grand final you've ever lost as a player, though, was 87.
Yeah.
Like, at your only grand final. So, can you remember that one? Fatty won it for Manly.
Yeah,
was it the last one at the SCG as well?
It feels like yesterday. Yeah, honestly it does. And it's, how many years ago? You do the maths on it. Was it 40 years or, 87? So it was the last grand final at the SCG. And I was just pinching myself. Look, I was used to sitting at Burton Street with my brothers, watching grand finals, watching the Bulldogs and Parramatta through the early 80s, just have scrap after scrap at the SCG.
Yeah.
It was, it was the place to be. And for the first half, and I'm not sure why this happened, but for the first half of the grand final, I sat up in the grandstand with Wayne and Don Ferner. So there's Don, the two coaches, and me. It might have been the Wollongong stand looking at the game, and I thought, this is unbelievable. I could sit here for the whole game, Unfortunately, whichever way you look at it, Mal had a broken arm that year and only been back a couple of weeks, so it was a very hot day, and so they decided to bring Mal off. And I'm sitting there, and they said, Kevie, you've got to go down and warm up, you're on. I said, me? They said, yeah, you idiot, down you go.
That was weird, because I still remember that game as much. Like, Don and Wayne were the co-coaches, but Wayne was going back to Brisbane in 88, so this was his last time he'd be coaching Canberra as such, and Don Ferner. So you go down, you get on, Manly win it. It was sort of weird, because Canberra weren't expected to even be in the grand final, but it galvanised that club a little bit, that loss, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It certainly did. And the Raiders were a younger team, 82 first year in the premiership, and then they had a grand final appearance, in 87. But it was funny throughout that year, because the Broncos were formed in 87, and Wayne had to make a decision. He had 2 more years to go at the Raiders. The idea was for him to take over from Don Ferner.
Yep.
But then the Broncos approached him. So he got in front of the group and said, listen, fellas, I've had an offer to go back to Brisbane. I think I'm going to take the offer up. If you feel like you want me to go back to Brisbane now and leave the club, I will. But if you want me to stay on,
happy to stay on.
Happy to stay on. So I'll give you 10 minutes. You can discuss it as a group. Still remember we're sitting around in the change room. So Wayne walked off, and everyone just said, we want him to stay. But Jacko said, let's have a bit of fun with this bloke. He said, why don't we just tell him that we want him to go and go now. Tell him to F off, if you want to go back to Britain. So that was the plan.
Yeah.
So Wayne came back 10 minutes later. This all happened in about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Wayne came back and he fronted the group. He said, well, what do you come up with? And what do you think? And Jacko stood up. He said, yeah, Wayne, we've had a quick chat. We didn't take very long. We want you to pack your bags now. F off. Back to Brisbane if that's your choice. Wayne's face dropped to the floor. You serious? You serious? And Jacko said, no, we got you!
And everybody cheered.
Everybody cheered and carried on. And from that moment forward, it was just all set for the semi-finals and the grand final. Yeah.
How are you feeling? Can I ask you how you feeling knowing that you're contracted to Canberra, but you're a Queenslander, and that the Broncos are forming? Had Kerridge signed with them for 88?
Yeah, he'd signed
so
then, yeah.
I mean, part of you would have wanted to get home.
I was very jealous of the Broncos
you would have wanted
in that
to get
situation. And Alfie was there too, and they had Wally Lewis, Gene Miles, Greg Dowling, all the Greg Canescu, all these superstars, Brian Niebling, all playing Origin, but all at the Broncos. So, but I had a 3-year deal at the Raiders, and I was really enjoying Canberra. I was playing a lot of first grade. And then the second year, Ricky Stewart came along.
Yeah, worst thing that ever happened to you, Steve.
Yeah, and a bloke called Laurie Daly was also in the wings. So by the third year, and we made...
And that was 89.
89.
Yeah. Loz was in the centres. Rick was the halfback.
Chris O'Sullivan
was a 5'8".
He was sort of getting a little bit older, but Laurie Daly, they'd penciled in to come in and be 6, you know. And I thought I was a genuine halfback. So it was Ricky and I just sort of scrapping it out. And Ricky, obviously being a Wallaby and a local, you know, he sort of won that battle.
Canberra, yeah.
He won that battle. And he's a great player, Ricky, you know. So
he's a great mate of yours as well now.
We still are, yeah, we're still great mates. And so I thought, and the Broncos had reached out with a smaller contract, about the same what I was on. I thought I'll go home and just try my luck there with the Raiders, but with the Broncos. But I want to thank Tim Sheens. You know, he's been obviously a good friend of mine as well over the years. But in the grand final, he had the opportunity to not put me on, but he actually put me on and I'm forever grateful for that because he had opportunities to put other players on, but he chose me, and that gave me a lot of confidence as well. Going on in the grand final.
So you go on, 5 minutes to go, and they tie up the game.
Yeah.
Like this is it's. I think like we've talked about plenty of grand finals. I was there.
Yeah,
I was there.
I thought you might.
Yeah, I was there. I was there. It was at the Sydney Football Stadium, and it went into extra time. Balmain were the raging favourites.
And
I've got to be honest with you.
They should have won.
They should have won. Warren Ryan made a real big mistake, and we all know it's been well documented. He took off Blocker
and Ciro.
And
with about 10 minutes to go.
He started with Buckets Hemsley. He started with Kerry Hemsley. But they should never have done that. And they were the days where once you're off. You don't get any interchange. And then it goes into golden point. Well, not golden point, extra time.
10 minutes each way.
And Canberra win their first ever premiership. You play in the extra time. You also play. So you get... You're very much part of it. That's a premiership.
Yeah.
You're very much. What was that first like? Like, I mean, knowing you're going to Brisbane, but
it was crazy.
Canberra was just berserk.
Look, I remember lots of things from the grand final, but 2 or 3 things in particular. I remember Mal when he ankle tapped Mick Neal. Mick Neal was going to score. We're all money.
Yeah.
Poor old Benny Eliason. I saw Benny the other day in Sydney. He's shot at field goal.
Hit the crossbar.
Bounced back into play. And then, of course, the try from Chicka Ferguson, also Steve Jackson's try.
Yeah, Steve Jackson's try.
He's now the mayor.
He's the mayor of Mackay or something.
On the back of that try, more than anything else. He's lived off that try, and good on him.
But Chicka scored without any boots on. Chicka Ferguson scored without any boots on. He stepped and flicked off, and that was one of the great tries.
I love playing with Chicka. He was one of my favourites as a kid. I used to watch him play for Newtown and also at the Roosters, and then all of a sudden here I am
playing with him.
I'm lined up for sprints at training against Chicka, and I'm beating Chicka Ferguson. I thought, geez, he's not that quick, this bloke.
How good was that side, that Canberra side? I mean, if you look at the composite, was Brad Clyde in that time? Brad Clyde was in 89. So you had Clyde, Stewart, Daly, Gary Belcher, Mal Meninga.
Yep.
You had Chicka Ferguson, he called.
Ricky Stewart.
Ricky Stewart. You
Sam
played with
Bacco,
Sam Bacco. You played with a lot of good teams. That team
who
was
else in that
unbelievable.
team who went under Gary Coyne he was very much underrated.
Yeah,
he's got 5 or 6 McDonald's stores.
He's done pretty well. He's done pretty well. Yeah.
Of all the players that you know, and he was from Ipswich as well.
Yeah.
You know, so and Gary was one of these guys that I watched since a 5 or 6 year old, playing for Bevel Swifts, then playing for Wynnum, then playing for the Raiders. So that was a dream for me to play with these sort of guys as well. And Stevie was there, Steve Walters. So it was a great bunch of
unbelievable box was there. So you win the comp. That's it for you. You're heading north. At that point in your life, I've got to ask, did you realise that you were going back to replace the greatest of all time?
Well, I didn't. I just went back.
I know you'd signed, but did you know that Wally was going to be sacked in that process to go back? And because it was justified. It has since gone on, but Wayne Bennett sacked Wally Lewis, and brought you back as the 6.
That happened. He sacked Wally after
you'd signed.
I had a year.
You had a year. Yeah,
and Wally was a bit injured in 1990, and then
But you wouldn't have thought you were coming back to replace Wall.
No, I was coming back because I was quite jealous and envious of Alfie and Kerrod, who were both playing for Queensland and Australia at that time, and I thought, well, if they can do it, surely I can do that as well.
Yeah.
And so that was the main reason why I went back there, is to get the opportunity. Somehow I thought I could, because I'd played a bit of centre as well. I'd played fullback. So I was a bit of a utility. And I thought, well, there might be some opportunities off the bench, or I didn't think I'd ever be starting in front of Wally or Alf,
So Alf was the 7, and obviously that combination of of Lewis and Langer, we know what 87 was like, just and how successful that Origin combination for Queensland.
Amazing.
So you go to the Broncos and you go, mate, I've got the Origin halves pairing.
Yeah.
Throw in Kevin Walters. So 90, Wayne Bennett, huge call, sacks Wally Lewis as captain, and he's 5'8".
Well,
can you remember that time?
I can, but I didn't really realise at the time how big a call. That's probably one of the biggest calls in the clubland of
Ever.
a captain.
Mate, he's an immortal.
I mean, there was noise around the other week when DCE got dropped out of the Queensland side. And huge noise.
Yeah.
That doesn't even compare with what happened with Wally.
Pretty gutsy. Did Wayne ever have a conversation to you? And I'm asking you to go back and say, now, mate, we've done this. You're our 6.
No, he didn't. That was never said to me. It was. There was a couple of other. Grant Ricks was there as well. There's another young 6 coming up, and Craig Teven was there as well. So there was plenty of
good footballers around.
There. So no one was ever said, "Well, this is yours." I had to fight for it, and had to play well, which I did. And one of my big moments in my career that I remember where I got a huge plus was Wally missed the first part of 1990, so I got the jump. So I played 5'8", and Wally had his hamstring. He was coming back into the side. I thought, oh, this is it. I'm going here. I'll be on the bench or playing reserve grade. And Wally came over to me and said, mate, you're going great. He said, you just stay at 6, and Wayne and I have come to the agreement that I'll play lock, which meant Terry Madison got bumped to the bench. And that just gave me a huge injection of confidence when Wally Lewis says,
mate, I'll play 13. Yeah.
And he was
and he was the Origin 5'8".
And Australian captain.
And he's shift position for you.
Yeah, so I was forever great. And I've told Wally that a lot of times. It was just a huge injection of confidence for me. To hang on, Wally Lewis is prepared to do that. And I just kicked, with my footy.
91, you guys, there was a blow-up. You guys got...
We bombed out.
You were a great team. But I remember I was listening. I used to listen to The Wireless. I remember... Mate, that was when there was only 5 teams, and you guys got bumped out. I think maybe second week, or maybe first week.
No, we didn't make the finals.
Didn't make the finals in the end. You missed out, and you should have won the comp. That team was stacked as well.
I think we just lacked, a little bit of experience, and
that was another great grand final. Penrith won that against
Penrith and the Raiders.
Penrith and the Raiders
were the two-gun
teams, and Penrith won that one, and it's great for Penrith.
Yeah, but they wanted to sack Wayne Bennett at the end of that, Dobbo.
I know, and Wayne talks about. How Paul Morgan came out and said Wayne Bennett has a lifetime deal at this club no matter what. And that's what the Broncos stood for at that stage.
Yep.
And that, he says to him, lifted all the pressure off him that he could just coach knowing full well that he was safe.
Yep.
Talk to us about 92 because it was the shutout. It was the shutout.
See, we picked up Gled Lazarus in the off-season. So we had great forwards, Gilly, Gavin Allen, Alan Cann was coming through, a younger player.
Did you have GG
Terry
at that
Madison,
stage?
Andrew G. So we did have Mark Hone. So we had a very
tough side.
But Lazo just brought that. He was the world's best prop, through that period.
Lazo had won 89, 90, lost 91, and then he rocks up to you guys.
Yeah, so he played 5
grand finals, 6 grand finals.
6 grand finals in a row.
And won 5 premierships.
Yeah.
So
he was part of the difference for us. We had great experience, great players. Like Alf was probably if not the best. I'm going to say he was the best player in the competition for about 4 or 5 years.
Wayne Bennett said if he had to choose his favourite player of all time, Alan Langer was it.
Yeah. Well,
was he your favourite player?
Oh yeah, I played with some great players and great people, but he was my favourite because he just won games for you when things were tight and level. I couldn't tell you how many times a little bit of Alfie magic, chip, grubber, run, a tackle, a ball steal, teasing the opposition in a funny way to put them off their game. He had so many tricks up his sleeve. It was just amazing, and he was a winner. Alf's a winner, and that flowed off onto to all of us really. And
that 91, that 92 grand final against St George. I mean, we've talked to Pearl here.
Yeah,
the outballs. We've talked to Johnsy. That was crazy.
It was amazing, mate. And we put a song out, Kerrod and I and Alf.
We're the Broncos.
Yeah, and I remember at training, Gilly and all the forwards, like, oh, you idiots! This is garbage, you know. And it sailed through the charts. It got up.
Did you get any coin out of that?
No, it was all for Sony Music.
Yeah,
and Dennis Hanlon, who was
great bloke.
Yeah, sponsors of the Broncos at the time, come up with the idea. And
Hey, we're the Broncos, and we're just horsing around.
So everywhere we went, people would want us to sing the song, and it was easy to sing. It was only had about 3 verses, and it was all done.
What was it like playing with your twin brother? I mean, twins. I got twins. It's a special relationship. I watch them now, but you and Kerrod, people don't realise the bond. You can't. Unbelievable, and you win a premiership together.
Yeah, it was amazing, and part of my reason coming back for the Broncos was to play. With Kerrod, I played 3 years with Stevie down in Canberra, but Kerrod was going that way, so I thought I can do that as well, and I did.
Yeah. Who was better? Can I just ask you? Who was better, Box or Kerrod?
I'm not going to split them, Dobbo. I think they both had
records show that they both. It's almost identical because they're premierships, Origin matches. Australia,
well, Stevie's got a
bit on Origin and in country, but they were both awesome players.
Yeah, they were very good and different players, but both brought a lot to the team and the team environment. They were very much team oriented, which I was too.
If Box wasn't there, Kerrod would have played a lot more Origins.
He would have, yeah, and likewise, Stephen.
Yeah, Stephen probably would have been. If Stephen would have probably been home here,
he would have taken over after Greg Kinescu had finished with Queensland. Yeah. But Kerrod got the jump on him, with this with his style of footy. So yeah, they're two.
Who
very
was
good
tougher?
players. Stephen was tougher.
Yeah, I was going to say Stephen was as hard as Stephen's tougher than Kerrod.
And both of us put together, really. But we are twins, so we share a lot of things, including personalities.
Yeah,
so it was great. That first premiership was just amazing. You could feel the excitement, around Brisbane when we got back to the airport. Even Tina Turner, it was just. Simply the best was around at the time. Life was really
good. And am I right in saying around that time you met Kim, your first wife? Yeah, you started dating. You was dating her, or you might have got married then. 91? Did you get married?
Married in 91. Yeah.
91. Yeah. So she was there. That family's there. Were your mum and dad? Were they there for the premierships?
Yeah,
for those early ones.
They used to always go down to the. They used to go to Canberra a little bit on the bus. They used to catch the old greyhound from Ipswich.
Out of Ippy down. Yeah.
Down, and then obviously when they think they might have caught the bus, to
the Sydney Footy Stadium.
Yeah, they did, and then I think in '92 and that they started flying. Everyone started flights became a bit cheaper, more affordable. So they flew to all those premierships. Yeah, they were down there for all those.
How good!
And it was very rewarding for them too, Dobbo, because they put a lot of time and effort into us. As a parent,
oh mate,
the commitment that you have to your children, and I'm the same now, is to getting them to all these sporting events, and they never missed a beat. Whether we dropping us off in the car or getting us there somehow, I felt really proud and privileged to see my parents in the grandstand, on those grand finals, and they were very much a part of it. KG and Sandy.
I'm going to say this with the deepest respect. I reckon you were undervalued at that stage in your career. I know you won 2 comps, and you weren't on the big freight. I don't know what you're on, but I wouldn't have thought you were on the big money back then, not the Lazarus and Langer money.
No, it certainly wasn't. They didn't deserve it either because, they were Australian players. I was the next level down, At
that stage, you went on and, mate, you played for your country. I mean, you played 20 Origins and you play 11 Test matches for your country. So when Super League came, and we've talked about that, can you remember that? Can you remember the bump in salary?
Yeah, I can, yeah. So I would have been on, I reckon, about 100,000 at the Broncos, right?
In 92, 93, somewhere there?
94. Later.
94, yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd won 2 comps?
Because Mel was the first player to crack the $100,000 mark for a contract right? in 87 at the Raiders, yeah. And everyone said, wow, he's on $100,000. That's amazing. I think my contract in 87 for the Raiders would have been 10,000 or 20,000 maybe. And then incentives,
Of course.
So you can make up to about 50.
So when Super League comes in 96.
So I got offered 400,000, I think.
A lot of dough.
A lot of money.
A lot of money back then.
So it nearly tripled my wage, which I thought, well, this is going to be all right. You know, had I held out, I could have got more. It was a free for all.
Yeah.
But we all sort of went in as a group and stayed together as a group. I remember I went to the airport with Lazo and Michael Hancock, Kerrod, Steve Renouf was in that little group. We went out, and Lazo was in it, to the airport and met with the ARL officials just to see how much, they had to, and they virtually said, we'll give you what you want, And Lazo, I think, they said, we'll triple whatever you want. You know, he was the big fish there.
Yeah.
Anyway, Alf got wind of it. We came back to training the next day, and he just didn't talk to us for the whole training session.
Was he your best mate at that stage? Or other than Carrad, was Alf your best mate?
Certainly. And Chris Johns. And anyway, so I went up to Wayne and said, "What's wrong with Alf?" He said, "Well, he's got the shits with you blokes that went out to the airport to meet the ARL." I said, "Well, why's he got the shits?" He said, "Well, you've signed. We agreed we'd all stay together. We've done a deal. Why would you even contemplate that?" And I said, "We just had a little look and see what's over the fence,
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, he's not happy. You better go and see him." So we went and sorted it out. He was honest. He said, you pissed me off when you went out, all you 7 blokes. This is our club. This is our team. We've got unfinished business." And he was the captain, so he had every right to get the shits. And we respected Alf that much because he played every week. Like, Alf could have an off week at training, but I don't remember one game I remember where Alf wasn't at his best, and that was his last game for the Broncos before he retired. That was up against North Queensland.
Wayne talks about it, and you can give this, that he used to drink a chocky milk or a strawberry milk and packet of chips before a game.
He used to have a ham, cheese, tomato, toasted sandwich.
Yeah.
Some chips on the side on the plate, and a strawberry milkshake.
And he'd spew it up. You knew if he didn't vomit before a game, you knew there was dramas.
Yeah, we would start sticking our fingers down his throat, making him spew. Because when he spewed, we knew he was on,
Yeah.
But he was a great player.
Oh, mate.
And he used to get in the opposition's heads too, Dobbo.
Really?
You'd run out, and particularly if we were kicking off, he'd know players from every team. Like, say we're playing the Raiders. So Laurie and Steve would be in that front line. And he'd wink at him and do something funny, like pull his pants up around his ears or
try and stir him up,
just to put them off. They couldn't look at him in the end because they were laughing. And he used to have fun with it, Alf.
So you win 97. I mean, do you count that? Do you count the Super League premiership as a premiership?
It was a big one, Dobbo, certainly.
Even though half the comp was...
Yeah, well, we won what we could. All right, we played that tri-series as well. We played in that. So it was a... we won what we had to. So we won the Super League. We won the World Club Challenge as well over in New Zealand after that. And the Tri-Series that year was the longest ever game in rugby league.
Yeah, I know. Unbelievable.
Nolly Goldthorpe put us all to bed with a field goal.
With a field goal and wins it.
Going for an hour and a half.
Mate, it's crazy. Crazy. There was just play to
in the
win.
end, we were just, someone kick a field goal. Here, go, you go. Let's just get this game over.
They changed the rules up that.
Yeah.
98, huge premiership.
Yeah, big one.
Gordy's in that side.
Well,
Webke's in that side.
There'd been a freshen up from Gilly, Honey, a lot of these guys
they'd gone.
Had moved on. So it was a new look Broncos team with the
next
generation.
That was an unbelievable time.
Tallis, Webke, Thorne, Sibinasiva, all these guys in that side coming, the next generation of Broncos. So that was 98. Alf and I were still there. Stephen Off still there. So there was still a few older guys there, but the mainstream, Lockie was in that side. The next generation, Lottie Takiri and Wendell were coming through. So this was the next generation.
You look at that side.
Yeah. It was probably. Yeah, I don't want to compare. They're all great teams, but that one was very good. There was no salary cap either, really, because the competitions were, our cap. If you put our players down on cap money, we'd have blown the ceiling off it. So we should have won, and we did, which was important.
You had 2 kids at the time. Was Jet born by then?
I had 3 kids.
3 kids at the time, and Kim was obviously sick at that stage.
Yeah, no, Kim passed away in February of 98. So she'd been crook for about 12 months, since about 96, just over 12 months. And the breast cancer was horrible for her. Last sort of 2 or 3 months, she was pretty crook, So it was a tough time for the family and the kids.
How did you do it, Kev?
Mum and Dad moved in into the house.
Did you contemplate, and I've never ever talked about, did you ever contemplate not playing that year?
Not at all, no. Not at all. It was, and I remember Cameron Munster just the other week he lost his father.
Yeah.
The best thing for me was to continue. This is my mindset. Continue everything as normal as I could, and that meant, what am I going to do? Stop playing rugby league? Yeah. And then we got no income. We're family. I've got to work.
Yeah.
I didn't have enough money behind us to not work.
You had 3 boys as a single dad, and you were trying to play full-time football. That must have been... I've never talked to you about this. Well, I can't even begin to imagine what you were going through week in, week out.
Yeah, well, I didn't do it by myself, Dobbo. I've got to say, had great family support, and Kim's sister, Kelly, she moved in while Kim was crook, just to help with the kids and the like. So she was a huge help, and Kim's friends were very helpful. Some of Kim's friends, but it wasn't easy. And Mum and Dad moved into the home as well after Kim passed away. So they moved in for about 9 or 10 weeks just to try and keep
a bit of normality
with the kids and myself and what I was doing. And so they were both working at the time as well, but they gave up their lives and their lifestyle in Ipswich to come and help me, which I'm, forever really grateful for that. Yeah.
Jeez, I can't believe. I remember a relief on you. I remember how emotional you were after 98. Like, you won that and you had all the boys there. That was
great, mate.
And
Mum and Dad were there as well.
And I think you were interviewed about it, and it was like that you'd not put a wall up that year, but you were so focused and you were dealing with it, but it all came out after you won that comp.
I did put a wall up, Dobbo. It was, I sort of, to get through, I'm mentally, very tough, and that's probably because of my upbringing, and not that I had a tough upbringing, but I just, as a young boy, I just remember being steely with the mindset, and I still got that now, and I'm very grateful for whoever planted that seed in my head, because you need to be. Life's bloody tough sometimes, isn't it? But you know what?
But people see the joker, Kev. They don't see the fact you won a comp, and I'm just going to dumb it down. You won a premiership in 1998 when you lost your wife. You raised 3 boys on your own. I know you had some help.
Not on my own.
No, but you had help.
Yep.
But you focused through it, and that a lot of people have said, and I say this, that was your best ever season as a player. Like, if you look at statistically, you guys were unbelievable,
No,
that was because you just had to compartmentalise yourself and just get through. But it did come out. It did. When you won that comp, that interview, I don't know who it was, but somebody, it might have even been David Fordham, I don't know who it was, but somebody interviewed you, and I remember seeing it, and you broke down, and that was probably as happy you can, but it all sort of caught up.
Yeah, well, I'm a pretty emotional person anyway, but it did. We won the Origin Series that year as well. Won the Game 3 decider, in Sydney, which was big for Queensland. And the year was just a great year of footy for us. And for me personally, I did have my best year. I'm not sure why. I was just really determined to have a good year, just to try and
honour Kim, show everybody you can do it.
Yeah,
it wasn't going to break you.
Yeah.
Show your boys, your 3 boys.
All those things, not sort of, I really still do feel sorry for the boys not growing up without a mum, because they weren't old enough to sort of understand, and it's hard for me to try and explain it to them.
Yeah.
So I just tried to keep life as normal, whether it's right or wrong, or that was just keep life as normal as possible for them, understanding that they...
Well, they are lucky later on that they had Narelle who took them in.
Well,
Narelle
was
heroic. And Narelle was heroic in the sense she just took them on like they were her own.
Yeah,
so,
well, she was, forever grateful for meeting Narelle, and she's been a huge part of my life now for, 20-odd years.
Yeah, and I'll get to that. So, can I just go back, because I haven't touched on it, but your origin, your career, I reckon it's underrated. And I know that, this your first origin game, you never even got to get on. You sat on the bench, and it still annoys you.
No, I got on for the last 5 minutes, remember? And I got the photo with Kerrod after the game. Kerrod got man of the match.
He was in a dirty jersey.
He's got his dirty jersey.
And
if you look at the back, I've still got the tag on the back of my jersey. Where you buy your jerseys from. So
what's prouder for you, playing for your country, playing for the Bronx, or was it playing for your state?
My country's
it.
Yeah, I remember getting up as a young boy to watch those games. Particularly the Kangaroo tours. So that was the ultimate for me. And I feel like if I do have one regret, it's not playing my best football for Queensland or Australia more consistently. I would have liked to have been better in that arena, but it doesn't all. I was happy with what I achieved, but I feel like if I had my time again, I reckon I could give that bit more focus on the Queensland stuff and the Australian stuff. But it's all about confidence, Dobbo. And I sort of got picked and then left out of Queensland teams, and I remember
in and out. Yeah, I get that. It was never consistent.
But I was never the best 5'8" in the country. If someone was injured, then I got. So you got to be a realist as well, and understand where you sit. Everyone knows where they sit in life and on the ladder. I wasn't the best 5'8" for Queensland either. Sometimes, there were other options for them. So I get that, but I knew I was the best 5'8" for the Broncos at the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. 2000. That's your last premiership.
Yeah. Amazing, mate. Amazing.
Yeah, that one's a special one as well. I mean,
that was on the back of Gordon Tallis, mate, and that forward pack. Yeah, I remember Gordon Tallis that year. I was the captain of the side, and he was the vice.
Were you the 7 at that stage?
I was playing halfback.
Yeah, because Icon was 5'8". Yeah,
Icon was.
He got knocked out early.
He was going to win the Clive Churchill
until he got sconed.
He got knocked out. Yeah, doesn't remember the second half. Yeah. Poor old Benny, but he was playing good. We got to keep reminding him he was playing good. But I remember I tore my calf, and Lottie used to take the piss out of me. I tore it down one end of Red Hill at training, and I had to climb all the way along the fence, hobbling. And he was on that wing training, and he's looking at me and just laughing. But I missed about 6 or 7 weeks of that, and then came back just in time for the finals. And then I remember sort of about 3 weeks out from the finals, Gordy and I were having a beer at the Paddo, little midweek one, which he used to do in those days. And he said to me, Kevie, he said, you get yourself fit because we're going to win it this year. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you leave it to me. He said, I got your back.
And that was it. He's always had your back.
And that was it. And then he just played like a man possessed.
Yeah, he was
have a look at his game against Parramatta in the major prelim final. The try he scored, he beat every Parramatta player to score the try and slammed it down, And I'm just, forever grateful that he saw something good in me and said, mate, we need you. You just get yourself back. I'll do all the heavy lifting. You're our captain. You're our leader. We need you. And from that forward, Gordy he just, like I said, all those young fellas, they just stood up. Dane Carlaw, Webke, Sivanasiva, Kevin Campion was in that side, like Tony Carroll. They were all just ready to go. And they just used to, Brad Thorne, they used to beat the shit out of teams, Dobbo. Yeah. Just bully them.
Yeah.
Because they were that big.
So confident they were unbeatable.
Yeah, and Gordy.
Why did you go? What, was it because Lockie was transitioning? Did Wayne give you the tap?
No, I tapped myself.
You did?
I sort of had enough, and I thought...
you wanted to go to Warrington, though?
I didn't want to go to Warrington. Look, Alf, that happened because I wanted to coach, mate. I was ready to coach, and I was coaching in 2000.
You were coaching
I had the job for the Clydesdales. Then Alf rang me from Warrington and said, Kevin Campion's pulled out of the Warrington deal. He's going to go to the Warriors.
Yeah.
Do you want to come over? We'd love you to come over. And I said, oh, not really, Alf. Come on, mate. We've got a good side here. Tawera, Nickau, Gigi, all these players. I said, all right, I'll come over. So I went over, and I didn't play very well, to be honest. In fact, one game against Villeneuve, it was that was the Challenge Cup, and I didn't play very well. And after the game, Alf got one of the Villeneuve players to come into the dressing room and give me their man of the match. I was their best player, they thought. We won 60-0, but I was their best player.
God.
So I thought, this isn't working here, and it was cold, it was miserable, the kids weren't happy, Narelle wasn't happy, so we ended up going home. And God bless Darryl, Darryl Vanderveld, he's no longer with us, but he was, he was a very good coach, Darryl, and I just sort of had to be honest with him and say, mate, I can't stick this out. Yeah. And he was very supportive. It's all right, mate. And home I went. I went home back, and then I started coaching the Clydesdales again, which I was supposed to do. And the Broncos got 3 or 4 injuries. Phil Lee got hurt. Ben Icon all got hurt. So
you ended up being back there playing again.
Come back playing again
for the rest of the season.
No, only played 4 or 5 games. And my last game for the Broncos was down at Illawarra against the Dragons, and I copped an elbow in my cheekbone, and I thought, this is it, I'm done. So they said, when you break a cheekbone, if you hold your nose and blow, if it comes up, you're done. So I did that in the dressing room. I thought, this is no good. And I went home and got the X-rays, and
that was
it. I could have come back and played, but I thought, it's not worth it. I was coaching the Clydesdales.
Coaching's a whole other chat.
We're going to do that next time.
We're going to do that, but I do want to lose Kim Narelle. I've got to put that because, and we'll talk about Narelle and the coaching as well. But I mean, Ava and Harry weren't born at this stage, so it was an amazing thing for a lady to take on a bloke who is a widow with 3 boys who are on her own, and she took them on like you can't even put into words what she did in that time to take them even to Europe with you. I know, like to say, look, we'll come with you. And she raised those boys like her own at that stage. And
certainly, she had a huge influence over particularly my coaching career, and also the kids, and we've got 2 kids together with Harry and Ava, but also the commitment that she gave to Jack, Billy, and Jet, and they've turned out great.
Bloody
kids.
Brilliant.
And a lot of that is hard work done by Narelle, because I was off coaching or playing football, so she.
It's a special person that does that.
Yeah,
like say what you want. You can't even begin to put it into words.
And I made a joke at our wedding. We got married, up in Airlie Beach, and it was only a smaller wedding, but people that are really close. It was the best 3 or 4 days that I've ever had. It was that good. And I said in my wedding speech about degrees. Now, Narelle's got 2 degrees, and I said the only thing I know about 2 degrees is how cold it is in Ipswich in the mornings, But she was really smart. She's a lawyer. She's been to university, and to be fair, none of us had been university educated.
Yeah, of course.
So we'd all just been carpenters and tradies, and so she was a fresh breath of air in that regard. So, and Ava, my daughter now, is at university, second year engineering, which is unheard of for a Walters person. Billy said he went to university.
He never went to university.
I'm not sure which one he went to. He's a carpenter. Yeah. Harry was never going.
Jedi's never going.
Yeah. Jack's never going. No. So she's the first of my children to actually go to university, which I'm really proud of, really excited for her. She'll end up bossing those boys around, because
Ava, she already is now.
Jack's got the Walters projects, and he's building company. Well, she's going to. She said, "I'll take that company over when I'm finished my degree, and they'll all be working with me, Dad." I said, "You go for it, love."
Who's the best player you ever played with? I know, I would think Alf, but then I think about some of the calibre of players that you've played with. Who do you think rate as the top player you've ever played with?
That's Alf, right? And I've played with some great players, from Wally. Yeah. Right, in the early days. I sort of missed Wally at his best.
You played with Lazo.
Lazo. Lazo's, Gordon
Tallis. Brad Thorne.
Shane Webke. Darren Lockyer. He comes.
Pearl.
Mate, I was just so blessed to the teams that I played in. And I feel like I, as a player, very much team-orientated, and understood different players and how their mentality towards the game. Wendell Saylor, what a treat. Lottie Takiri, what a treat. Darren Smith, we're going to get him on the show as well. Darren Smith down the track. Look, so many great players that I played with, but Alfie just sticks his little head above everybody else. Not only for what he did as a player, but also his leadership. When I think about winners, I think about Alfie every week, regardless of his preparation, how he trained, what was going on in his private life. He played every week at no lower than a 7 out of 10. Because Wayne Bennett used to give us ratings as a player. I never saw a 7 or lower next to Alfie's name.
Now, Kratzmann's Caravan, best ever away trip. Now, Kevie, we've always asked our guests, have you got a trip that stands out?
I have. I certainly have. So I wish we had a Kratzmann Caravan for this trip, because KG and my father and mother, we used to always head north.
Yep.
A place called Burham Heads. It's in the Harvey Bay district, right? The reason we ended up there was Dad loved crabbing and fishing. It was cheap.
Yeah.
It was a family environment, and we had family friends that stayed there as well. We used to sort of go a bit with them. But I'm kind of filthy with Dad. Like, why would you drive past Noosa? Right? This is the 70s, right? Noosa would have been like, take us to Noosa, Dad. Yeah. Instead, take us to the Sunshine Coast. No, we kept driving, right? Burham Heads, right? But on the way to Burham Heads. So Dad used to have a ute, right? A Holden 1 tonne ute, which was his work car. In the Christmas holidays, he'd take all the tools
stuff off the back,
right, and load it up. He had a big canopy, loaded up with 4 kids. So mum and Dad and Brett used to be in the middle of the ute, the bench seat. In the back, it was Stephen, Kerrod, Andrew, and yourself, me, right? And so
canopy over the top,
mattress, right?
Greatest trips ever. And you go up there.
It's about a 4-hour drive. We used to go inland. But
best ever.
We're halfway up there, Dobbo, and all of a sudden we're sitting there nearly asleep, and Kerrod used to be a pain in the ass to travel with. He used to lick you, and the cricket used to be on. We'd have the radio there, wireless, listen to the cricket and just entertain ourselves. Anyway, we're sitting all there just facing the back so we could see the boat, and it was all loaded up. Next thing, the canopy
Straight off.
goes
Took off.
in the air like a kite. And we watch it.
Are you on the Bruce Highway at this stage?
We're on the Bruce Highway, right?
Stop it.
And Grandma and Granddad were in the car behind us.
Yeah.
It flew over them. It bounced like a kilometre. So we there's tins of fruit going everywhere and apples and pillows and blankets. Everything's just flying out the back. We say, stop. KG didn't even know. He just kept driving. So we ended up pulled over and we got to Burham Heads and the tent,
It never made the trip.
it made the trip, but we got it there and we put it up and it was all wet. It was all wet in the Burham Heads caravan park. So KG in his genius thought, well, they're going to rot. So he's just ripped all the walls off. So we got the roof, but no walls. So we lived for a month with everyone could just see what we were doing as a family. You know, I was only like.
But you loved it. They're the memories that you made it.
Dad ended up buying a block of land up there and
Did he?
built a house. Yeah, and that became our holiday sort of house.
Should have bought one at Noosa.
Why didn't he buy one at Noosa?
Yeah.
Hey, we'd all love a house at Noosa.
Oh, mate, now what have we
Oh,
went?
my God,
Burham Heads,
KG.
it hasn't moved like
Why do you
Noosa.
drive past Noosa, KG?
Yeah.
Stop.
Unreal. Hey, Kev, great Kratzmann Caravan story. We appreciate it.
No worries.
It's no fluke that everywhere you've been, you've won. It just isn't. Like you can't fluke that. What is it that's made you such a winner? And I mean that, and as coach, when we do your coaching thing, it's all there as well.
Yeah.
But as a player, what do you think it is that's made you that everywhere you've been, you've won premierships and medals?
Well, I reckon it comes down to three things, Dobbo. First thing is you got to believe in yourself, in your own, what you can bring to a team or an organisation. There's that. The second thing is like hard work beats anything.
Yeah.
Now, I work hard. I'm still working hard now.
Well, you train every day still. You're consistent.
But I love, and that comes from my father.
Yeah.
You know, the hard work is certainly that's been a huge part of my life, particularly in rugby league. I mentioned at school training hard. I've never trained harder than we did at school. I wasn't that great at school, but at training I was good, and I trained hard. Always trained hard. Mm. And the third thing, and probably one of the most important things, is knowing when to have fun.
Yeah.
Knowing when to have fun. There's a time when you've got to work really hard and train really hard. There's a time when you've got to have discipline in your life. But also, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then why are you doing it, Dobbo?
Yeah, I agree with that.
This podcast, I love doing the podcast.
Yeah.
If I didn't enjoy doing the podcast, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think
we're
that's
not
the
doing
third
it for
thing.
financial benefit.
No, would you like doing it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And we all do that. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm being serious.
We all need money.
Yeah, but we do this because we love it.
Because we love it, man. I'm so grateful for that. Because I love working in the game. It's coaching, whether it's playing, whether it's media commentary. I love what I do, and that's been a really big part of my life as well. I'm very fortunate to and not everyone has this opportunity, I get it, to really enjoy what you do and enjoy it, enjoy the moment when the moment is right. You know?
I absolutely think, and I say this now, we will do your post.
That's my coaching philosophy.
We will do your post, but I just want to say you are an amazing rugby league footballer. And I don't think you give the credit to yourself because you're humble, but you have an extraordinary, there is not many people that can say, they are a 6-time premiership player. They have represented their country 11 times and they've represented their state 20 times. And in that, you held yourself. You're captain, you're classy, and you've done it well. An amazing career. Kevie Walters, thank you for being on the Inside Ball podcast.
Thanks, Dobbo. You did a great job, mate.